Welcome back to Related Conversations. I'm Melanie.
And I'm Kat, and this is
So, what are we talking about today?
Let's Push Play.
If I come to you and tell you about some shit that's like bothering me, and you try to make it seem like me being bothered is a problem, my perspective of you has now changed. Because the fact that you did some weird shit to me, and I told you I didn't like it, and I brought it to your attention, and you proceeded to act weird about how I reacted to what you did to me, you're now a weirdo, and I can't be around you anymore. My feelings are not safe here, so I am no longer safe here. I will be making my grand exit.
That man said, my feelings are not safe here, so I am not safe here. My feel like my feelings are not safe here. That's why those people, it kind of blows my mind when you have those people like, oh, I wasn't trying to be rude. I'm just blunt. Blunt does not mean brutal. Okay. Like if you cannot speak to me in a way where you might have to tell me a brutal truth, but you can't do it in a way where I'm being considered so that my feelings aren't hurt, I can't have this conversation with you. I don't care what kind of valid points you have. You understand what I'm saying? Like, oh, but that a word. My feelings are not safe here, so I am not safe here. Like, that's fucking right.
Even to what he said, I completely agree with him because to what he
Mm-hmm.
said, I am someone who, if I don't feel like I'm safe and I can't express myself to somebody, I don't need them around.
Right, it's
Nor do I
fucking
want them around. Like, if I feel like I have to be on guard and tiptoe around what I need to say to you because your feelings are in a tizzy, I don't I don't need this relationship. I'm good. I'm not even
Yeah, because what are we building if I don't feel comfortable and safe enough to have a conversation with you? I
exactly.
don't feel comfortable to express like you're supposed to be a person where my vulnerabilities are able to come to rest, to be nurtured, to be understood and considered. And I can't have that with you. What are we doing? And why are we doing it?
Exactly. So like
Like,
I know I make it a point to be a safe space for like other people. So I make it a point if even my friends, if they come to me, whether I agree or not, if they come to me and say I felt this way, I'm gonna be like, okay, I understand. I'm sorry if what I did made you feel like that. That wasn't my intention, whatever the case may be. Do you find that you feel like you're a safe space for like your friends a lot of times to come to and to talk to?
I believe, yeah, I will say yes because I even got a call today where someone came called to ask me something, but at the same time, it's like I'm not a gentle space. I'm an honest space. So while, like I said, I may handle honest truths that are brutal, I may handle that in a nicer way because why would I give you this? Why would I deliver it that way? I'm not going to coddle you. You know what I mean? So if that's what you're looking for, I think everybody knows this is find someone different. I'm not going I'm just being honest though, you know what I mean? Because it's like I can absolutely understand what you're going through, and I'm going to give you love. But I don't believe that giving somebody the love to be a safe space for them means acting like things aren't the way that they are. You know what I mean? Like you might need to take accountability for some of the shit that you're calling me about.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that. You know what I mean? Like let's make sure because you have to give that. So I think I'm a safe space. I just also it's not a feather goose down blanket.
Listen, safe does not mean it has to be fluffy and comfortable.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, if in order to grow, you have to be pushed and stretched.
Right.
You can't remain comfortable. So at the end of the day, if you're giving them the honest truth or you're being completely upfront with them, that's
Hmm.
probably what they need.
Yeah, yeah. And but you know what? I think because of that, like even the logic that we just said, you know what I mean? Like I'm coming to you with something and you got something to say to me that's hard for me to hear, but you're also delivering in a way that hurts. It's like I'm emotionally unsafe with you. You know, he had the words at the top of the screen, even though he didn't necessarily say those words, but that's what it is. And I don't think a lot of people understand that they are emotionally unsafe with people that they choose to align themselves with in emotional situations, whether it be friendships, intimacies,
Hmm.
parents, siblings, you know what I mean? It's like whenever you feel you're walking on eggshells. Whenever you feel you can't express this true emotion or these thoughts that you're feeling because of the reaction of this other person, you are emotionally unsafe. And I don't think the value of that is given in the way that it should be, because people take it for granted. We blow it off like, oh, well, this person is just like that, or they didn't mean that. Like, no, who gives a fuck what they meant? Focus on what it is that you're feeling and what you're not allowed to feel with them, which is probably more important.
And it's so true, because a lot of the times people expect, like for instance, people expect safety from people who aren't emotionally regulated.
Mm,
You can't, like, I can't depend on someone who doesn't know how to regulate their own emotions to be a safe space for me.
I get that. I get that. Are you always looking for people to be safe spaces for you? Like when you say that, what, I guess, how many are you looking for that in specific people or in every relationship that you have?
Ideally, in most relationships, like, I want to be able, ideally the goal is to be able to be your most authentic self in any relationship you have. You like
Mm-hmm.
to show up as your most authentic self, to be able to tell your truth, whatever that looks like. Obviously there's two sides to the truth, but
Mm-hmm.
to be able to tell your truth and the person be understanding whether they agree or not. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a situation where they should be throwing it back at you, or they should be making you feel like you're wrong for feeling how you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If that's the case, what is the point of this relationship? Like, what is the point of me being your friend, me being in a relationship with you, if I can't come to you with, okay, this is how I feel about something you did, and you're going to look at me and be like, well, that's not my problem, kind of a thing, or
Right.
the lack of care. Like, in that case, I'm going to move on with my life and leave you where you're at.
Right. 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 Because I think people, like he was saying, that people like reacting negatively, and I find one of those reactions to be, if I'm coming to you, Kat, when we went to the club on Friday and you did this thing, I felt this negative way. If you immediately, and I think this is much more prevalent in probably intimate relationships, not so much just friendships, but like if you immediately now go to a grievance that you got with me, like, well, back in March when this happened, or when this situation happened with Ray Ray, and now you're bringing, it's like, you didn't pay attention to nothing that I said. You didn't give a fuck about what I was saying here, because what you wanted to do was kind of chop me down to the level so that you're not the bad guy by trying to throw in something that I did to make me seem like the bad guy. Like, when I tell you, that shit makes me want to pull my fucking hair out. But it's like, you're not a safe space for me emotionally, because you can't acknowledge my emotions, because I'm coming to you to talk it out, and all you're doing is trying to attack me because you feel attacked because you're not seen favorably.
And to me, it's just weird in general. First off, let's rewind, because if you come to me about a problem and the first thing I say is something you did in March, bitch, why didn't you tell me what you felt in March? Why are you
Because I
telling
don't
me
give a
6
fuck
months
now.
later?
I
Like,
don't give a fuck now. Like, you should have said it in March. Now I don't care, because it didn't bother you this much, because it's fucking August now, and it didn't bother you then, so it don't bother you now. You doing this shit specifically to throw me off the scent, so I don't give a fuck. Fuck you and how you felt,
like
and
that's
that's
very fucking weird energy. Like, personally, if you feel away in March, okay, maybe you may not tell me when the shit happens, but
mm-hmm,
maybe you need 2 3 days. I get that.
right,
Some people need some time to process it. But if it is now freaking November and I'm telling you about something you did that I didn't like, and you bringing up something I did in March, what, why?
like, because you only bringing it up because I said something. Because had I never had this issue, was you ever gonna say it?
Right.
Like, I was with somebody who used to do that, and I'm just like, that doesn't have anything to do with the cost of tea in China. What the fuck is you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to make a point and you're being dismissive. I'm being dismissive because the point that you're trying to make, all you're trying to do is
Is invalid.
override my point, because you don't want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to hear it. Like, oh. If my feelings are not safe here, I am not safe. I'm gonna put that shit on a fucking t-shirt, bitch, because he was fucking spitting. Because it's like, and your feelings don't have to be hurt for them to not be safe somewhere. And I don't think that people understand that either. Disregarding my feelings, even if I'm not affected by it necessarily, wow. It's also telling me that I can't exist here emotionally. And guess what? Can't separate me and my emotions. We are one and the fucking same. Like you
It's
take
very
us as we
dismissive.
are. Right. This is the only three something you gonna get with me. You better love it. Like,
Like,
ain't
it's
no
very
way.
dismissive.
But like, let me ask you a question. When people do that, when they're bringing it up because you brought it up, is it always like a defense mechanism, or do you think like they didn't feel comfortable initiating a hard conversation, and so now that a hard conversation has been initiated, albeit completely off topic and later down the line, do you think that that's a thing, or do you think it's always a defense mechanism?
I think that could be a thing. And the only reason I say that is because there were times in my life where I didn't feel like initiating that conversation. Obviously, this is before I've actually done the work to get myself to a different space. Because now I don't give a fuck whether I feel like initiating the conversation or not. You're going to hear what I have to say. Whether you like it or not, that is not my problem. That's a you problem. But at the same time, I could see where it would be a situation where some people are just non confrontational and they don't necessarily want to start that confrontation or have an issue. But my thing is, if that's the case, like when I used to do it, it would be a situation where I just wouldn't bring it up at all. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to wait for you to then bring up whatever issue you have with me to
That's
then
what I was
go
gonna
back 7 years to what you did when we were 16. I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm just not going to bring it up at all. And you would never be the wiser of what's
Yeah.
going on.
See,
You
that's what
know,
I was gonna say. Because it's like if you're so non-confrontational, then why all of a sudden you can be confrontational when someone else initiates it. So even if I feel like even if the person didn't do it because they didn't feel comfortable, you snooze, you fucking lose. Like, hey, the ship has sailed and you wasn't
right.
on it, and I don't give a damn about it because I wasn't trying to go on that trip. You understand what I'm saying? So I just think like it's a defense mechanism because you don't want to feel like a bad guy. And I
Mhm.
know there's probably a thousand other reasons. You're gonna be hard pressed to get me to see or think otherwise.
I
Absolutely.
think in that respect, if somebody's bringing something up that is old that
Mm.
happened because of what you're telling them, that is definitely a defense mechanism. That's not them being non-confrontational. That's a
Do you
defense
mean
mechanism.
something old? Do you mean something old that has already been resolved, or something that they didn't state?
Something that they didn't state.
Okay. Okay.
If it's resolved, first off, if you're bringing up something that was resolved, what are you doing? Because you already
La
handled it.
la la la
Why
la 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 la
why
la
is
la
this
la.
even coming back up?
I have nothing to. If we come to a conclusion on a issue and we've resolved it, we put it to bed, we've kissed and made up, shook hands, and went about life. And I don't give a fuck what happens unless it's directly related. Like, oh, we've uncovered new evidence that you did lie about going to Cynthia's when you said you went to Samantha's. Unless it's specifically about that, do not bring that shit back up to me because I do not care. I do not care. You will not. La 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 la. I don't hear it. I'm like, we already talked about this. It was done. I'm not going backwards. Life moves forward.
Exactly.
Like on and on. Was it on whatever? Forward.
Onward and upward, or whatever
Thank
the case
you.
may
That's
be.
what I was trying to say. Yes, onward and fucking upward. Like, ain't no way. Like I think the flip side to this though is like if someone has a bad reaction to you bringing something up, I think the flip side of it, the one thing that should be considered is maybe their reaction really wasn't about you. Like we're not the center of people's world. Everyone's going through a battle that you don't know. You know what I mean? And yes, it's annoying to have to consider these variables that are non-existent while you're trying to be a good person, so it's really hard to navigate, but I do think that it's worth a little energy.
I agree to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, if the way I see it is this,
Mm-hmm.
you if you cannot respond to somebody telling you something that you did to them in a way to where you have an understanding and your outside factors dictate how you respond to that situation, you need to work on yourself. Because if you come to me, and let's just put this into perspective. If you
Mm-hmm.
come to me, right, and you say, "Oh, Kat, I don't know. I don't like the fact that you used my phone or something and didn't tell me." I don't know. I'm making up a scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And I have dealt with whatever I'm dealing with on a personal note, and I flip out on you for you telling me that. That's me letting one situation interfere with another. Because at the end of the day, the situation I'm dealing with had nothing to do with you.
Right.
It's misplaced, it's misdirected. My anger or my animosity is misdirected.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. But like, okay, so I'm thinking more. I had two friends, right, and they was like this. They was close, and then in college, one of them had like a death of someone in their family, and like it wasn't like a brother or a parent. It was like a cousin or an aunt or something like that, right? And the so she was like maybe going through like this thing about that, and it extended longer than what us as Americans think that a grief period should last. So the other friend didn't really take that too well, I guess, and they don't speak to this. They start speaking for years and whatnot, and it was just like this whole crusade came because she wasn't being the same friend that she used to be, because she had this grief that happened in her life, and the other friend wasn't necessarily being understanding outside of that very small period of time. So it's like, does this apply then? Like, is this one of those moments where you need to stop and realize it's not? I think it does, actually, to answer my own question. I think this is one of those moments where, like, it's not all about you. Your negative reaction to her, it was sent to like she's not being a good friend to you, but it's like she's going through this thing.
So what's funny is I actually dealt with that same situation in real time.
Mm,
12 and 13 years ago, respectively, I lost both my parents.
mm,
At the time, I was in a relationship with my son's father, and I have to say I give this man credit because I was a raging bitch. I was, not only did I lose my mother, literally a month later, 2 months later, had my son and inherited a house that was in foreclosure.
crazy.
So, like, real life shit. Like,
Hmm.
adulthood hit me hard. Like, I didn't have time to breathe. So, obviously, I'm going through my grief, grieving my father, now grieving my mother, being a mother, trying to
Hmm.
save a house so that way my son has somewhere to live. Like, shit was real. Like,
I'm tired listening to you. God
right.
damn.
Like, so with that being said, I give the man complete credit because I was a raging bitch all the time. And I realize now my anger, even though he would do things and it would set me off. And it wasn't him, it was me.
Yeah.
My anger was misdirected because it wasn't anything that he did specifically, but because of what I was going through, it made me react the way I did.
Hmm.
But he's still not at fault for what I'm going through. I still now grow at this age, I could have handled a lot of situations differently if I would have known that, okay, I'm misplacing my anger. He is
Yeah.
not the subject of my anger. He is not the cause of my anger. Granted, yes, there could be consideration there where the person's like, well, she's going through a lot. But at the same time, we have to understand that one thing shouldn't affect how we deal with everybody else.
Yeah, and you don't get an endless grace period. I got a friend, and I was talking to him recently, and he was saying how his girl's been going through like this medical thing, and they can't figure out and it's been going on for a long time, to the point where like it's affecting her daily moods, and she cries a lot, and but to that extent they live together. You know what I mean? And he's having to deal with that for her too. And he's like, do you know sometimes he doesn't handle it well? I'm like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, he just sometimes he don't be bothered. He didn't say it that way because he's kind, but that's what he meant. Sometimes it's because I'm like, well, not for nothing. Yes, you're gonna be there for your lady, but at the same time, you're a human being dealing with such high emotional stuff all the time is a commendable on your part. However, that doesn't mean that you don't have shit too. And he feels like because his shit isn't as deep and serious and intense and right in your face as hers, like he should fade into the background. Okay, but it's been a year and a half. How much fading into the background do you get before the lights go out? You understand what I'm saying? So I think at some point it's like in both directions for your situation and his situation, realizing that it's not always about you has to come from both of the people because that's really a meet you in the middle type of shit. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's hard to do that sometimes
Mm-hmm.
because, unless someone's really going through certain things, they're not necessarily going to understand. Like I had to understand that what I was going through, he couldn't understand because both his parents were here. He's never had a
Yeah.
baby. He didn't have a house.
Right.
So
Right.
the magnitude of the shit I was going through, he couldn't understand that. And the fact that he even put up with the bullshit that I put him through for as long as he did is commendable. Like I gotta give him utmost credit because if it was me, I don't know if I would have hung around for as long.
Right. Like I'm good on that, but thank you.
Right. Like so
Like
I have to give him nothing but credit for those things because it's like I was definitely in a place where I was lashing out. And
yeah.
unfortunately, when you lash out, usually the people that's closest to you are the ones that get
Yep.
hit the hardest.
Yep. Yep. That is facts. That is facts. I have one last question before we, get ready to close it up and shit. Just a question. Because now the situation that happens, okay, and the person reacted badly. And like the dude said in the video, I'm looking at you as a fucking weirdo now. You're a fucking weirdo. I agree with that shit. Is there a point for you that you can dial back from looking at them as a weirdo? Like what can change your perspective after this thing has happened?
I am someone who, once I look at you as a fucking weirdo, you're stuck there.
That's what I was gonna say.
I can't dial it back. I'm just going to be. That's hard to do. Like once you move funny, or I find you're moving funny, I'm going to move right the fuck out your way and leave you
Yeah,
right where you're at. And if I think
yeah.
your behavior is weird, there's no real coming back from that. I'm just going to distance myself.
Right. I agree with you 100%. Like what is has been done cannot be undone, which is why I like that when people lash out in anger and they say some crazy below the belt shit and then later on, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Yes, you did.
Yes, you
Because
did.
even if you didn't mean to say that, either you meant to say it or you meant to hurt me. Either way, it's a problem. This is the same type of logic here. I cannot look at you differently because this is who you are. This is who you were to me. You are fucking weird now, and I expect you to do this shit going forward. Whether it's intentional or not, this is what it is. Like I know I had some issues before something happened with somebody in my family, and now let's say 7 years ago, and now I'm going forward, I'm like, well, she's a liar. And they're like, oh, you're holding on to old shit. Da, da, da. Excuse me, did you not hear what the great Maya Angelou said? When someone shows you who they are,
Believe it.
believe them. People do not change as much as we want to give them credit for changing. So, no, my perspective on who you are is always going to be there. Even if you grow from it, I love that for you. But I also know what you're capable of. You
Right.
went there before. It does not mean that it's impossible for you to go there again. It means you have to make an active decision every time something like this comes up to do differently and be better. And that's only if you decide that for yourself. And I'm going to remember that. I'm
Like
going to remember that.
it's not to say that I'm going to not deal with the person at all, but that's
Mm-hmm.
going to remain in the back of my memory banks that they acted a certain way. Because it's like, all right, this is what I know now when dealing with them, what to expect, or what I
Yeah.
got to watch out for, or how close I can get to that person, or what I can tell them, kind of a thing. It's like, I'm not about to sit here and keep repeating a cycle, because that's like the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing and expecting a new result. Like,
Yes.
like
I don't know. I feel like it falls off. So like I had a situation with a friend this past summer, summerish, and it was like I clocked some funny shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, is this what I think it is, or am I bugging? And I'm not a person to sit there and ask questions in my head, so I'm gonna ask it out my mouth to the person that needs to be asked. And I'm like, oh, it seems like X Y Z whatever. And his response is like, oh well, yeah. Now you want to tell me about all the shit you've been feeling and thinking and this, that, and the third. But why the fuck did I have to come to you about some shit that's coming from you? I had no idea. I'm just really perceptive. Cannot talk today. I'm just really perceptive. You know what I mean? So, and we're like this. We was like this. So I'm like, okay, well, we had words about it, and we had a conversation, came to a conclusion and whatnot. And then afterwards, I used to talk to him every fucking day, all day, multiple times a day, every day. You understand what I'm saying? And then I realized you not really doing no reaching out, and I didn't like that shit. I didn't like the situation that has got us here, and then I like the way your reaction was after I had to fucking come to you about some shit that you should have been friend enough to come to me for. So I was like, I ain't never gonna call this nigga again, and I haven't, and we have not spoken. This is why perspective does not change, because you did some weird shit. You're a weird ass nigga, and now you acting like a weird ass nigga, and now you just some nigga that I used to know because you're a weirdo. You're fucking weird.
you ever see those posts that they ask like, so some people like go through their block lists or whatever on social media and unblock people.
Insane.
And I remember seeing that post and I was like, yeah, that could never be me. Because once you're blocked for any reason, you're staying blocked. Like, I'm not, there's just certain people where once you're out of my life and I've removed you, there's no
Mm-hmm.
coming back from that.
Because like if I blocked you, do you know what you had to do for me to get there? Like I don't block nobody. I got the same phone number from when I was in my early 20s. I don't block nobody. If you can reach me, you can reach me. If I actually blocked you, you deserved it. You can't come back from the dead. You can't come back from
Hmm.
the dead.
Yeah,
Like
and
insane.
I will literally, people will be dead to me in a heartbeat. I
Fact.
am not trying to revive you. I'm yeah, you're once you're dead to me, that's it. Like you don't
Yeah.
exist in my realm of living.
Moral of the story: once a weirdo,
Always
always
a
a
weirdo.
weirdo. All right, girl. Next time we'll chat.